In the vast expanse of the South Atlantic, there exists a place so remote that it has rightfully earned the title of the most isolated settlement on Earth. Talk about being off the grid. This spot makes your average middle of nowhere look like Times Square. This is Tristan da Cunha. Yep, that's the correct spelling, not some exotic dance move. A tiny volcanic peak that's a world away from anything else. Like nature's way of saying, personal space, please. And its lone settlement, named Edinburgh of the Seven Seas, fancy name for a tiny town, eh? Clings to a small coastal plain home to fewer than 250 people. That's fewer folks than your average high school reunion. So why does anybody live on Tristan da Cunha? And why can't anyone else move there? It's not because they're hoarding all the peace and quiet. To answer this question, we have to first understand the tyranny of distance, that sneaky geographical bully that keeps this island in splendid isolation. Tristan da Cunha is not just far away. Oh no, it's extremely isolated, like the ultimate do not disturb sign planted in the middle of the ocean, where even GPS might throw up its hands and say you're on your own. The nearest inhabited land is the island of Street. Helena itself, also a remote British territory located a staggering 2,430 kilometers to the north. That's like trying to commute to work across half a continent. To the east, the coast of South Africa lies over 2,800 kilometers away, while the shores of South America are more than 3,300 kilometers to the west. These aren't mere statistics. They're the impenetrable walls of Tristan's watery fortress. Basically nature's way of saying visitors by invitation only. And to add to the isolation, there's no airport and no landing strip carved into the volcanic rock. Nope, no quick jet set escapes here. The only connection to the outside world is from the sea. A fishing vessel from Cape Town makes the journey only about 8 or 9 times a year, a voyage that, depending on the weather, can take a week or longer. Suffice it to say, this journey is not a simple ferry ride or luxury cruise. It's more like an endurance test, with waves as your grumpy travel companions. The island itself is the top of a massive shield volcano that rises from the abyssal plain of the ocean floor. Its classic conical shape dominated by Queen Mary's Peak, a snow-capped summit that soars 2,062 meters above sea level original D. 262 meters Yazılmış. Muhtemelen 2,062 meters. Sunku Gerçek Yükseklik 2,062 meters. This peak is not just a landmark, it's the heart of the island's weather system, often shrouded in cloud and funneling fierce winds down its slopes like a natural wind tunnel on steroids. The coastline is a formidable ring of sheer cliffs, some reaching over 600 meters high that plunge directly into the sea. These cliffs render nearly the entire perimeter of the island inaccessible, a natural defense against the relentless pounding of the Atlantic waves, basically telling ships, approach at your own risk. Only one small, relatively flat area exists on the northwestern coast, the settlement plain. It's here, and only here, that humans have been able to gain a foothold, creating the village of Edinburgh of the Seven Seas. Talk about making the most of a tiny welcome mat. The island's location places it very near the path of the Roaring 40 Seconds, a strong westerly wind system that circulates the globe in the southern hemisphere. These winds are like the ocean's over-enthusiastic fans, blowing non-stop and making everything feel a bit more dramatic. This means that the island gets much of the same passing weather systems, and because it's such a small island, feels it much more acutely, like being in the front row of a rock concert without earplugs. This constant wind, combined with its oceanic setting, creates a temperate but notoriously unpredictable maritime climate. Sudden squalls, persistent rain, and fleeting sunshine is perhaps the best and only way to describe it, where one minute you're basking in rays and the next you're dodging a downpour like it's playing tag. In fact, the weather dictates every aspect of life, from the viability of planting potatoes, fingers crossed for spud success, to the possibility of launching the fishing boats. No weather app can fully prepare you for this moody maestro. But the ocean, while a barrier, is also the island's lifeblood. The cold, nutrient-rich waters surrounding the archipelago support a thriving marine ecosystem, most notably the Tristan rock lobster, a cornerstone of the island's economy. These crustaceans are basically the local celebrities, fetching top dollar. Beyond the main island, the archipelago is home to 3 mostly uninhabited neighbors: Inaccessible Island, Nightingale Island, and Gough Island. Original Day Nightingale Vigo Island Yazılmış, Muhtemelen Nightingale v Gough. Now, true to its name, Inaccessible Island is very much inaccessible. It's an extinct volcano ringed by formidable cliffs, making any landing a perilous undertaking that has led to at least 3 shipwrecks that have made the attempt, like the island saying thanks, but no visitors today. Or ever. This fortress-like geography has preserved its unique ecosystem so perfectly that it's designated as a UNESCO World Heritage Site and serves as the exclusive home of the inaccessible island rail, the smallest flightless bird on Earth, tiny, feisty, and perfectly content without wings. A short distance away lies the smaller Nightingale Island, which, while also lacking a permanent settlement, plays a vital role in Tristanian culture. Islanders make seasonal trips here in their longboats for traditional hunting and egg gathering, like a yearly family outing with feathers involved. Nightingale itself is a globally significant bird sanctuary, home to millions of nesting seabirds, including vast colonies of great shearwaters and rockhopper penguins. It's basically avian Coachella, with more squawking and less tickets. Finally, much farther away is Gough Island, also a UNESCO World Heritage Site, but unlike Inaccessible Island, this one is accessible, albeit only by a small team of 6 people that maintain an important Antarctic weather station. These folks are the ultimate remote workers, tracking blizzards from paradise. So Tristan da Cunha is not just a solitary peak, but the main island of a small and very distant archipelago, a cluster of volcanic loners in the middle of nowhere. So how did humans end up in a place so far away and so inhospitable? An island that's so isolated and so hard to get to might not seem like the best place for humans to settle. I mean, it's like nature's version of a no-vacancy sign with extra waves and wind for emphasis. And yet, on the main island, Tristan da Cunha is a settlement that not only was settled but has endured for over 2 centuries, proving that stubbornness, or sheer love for solitude, can conquer even the remotest rocks. This is Edinburgh of the 7 Seas, a town with fewer than 250 people that still live there to this day. That's smaller than your average neighborhood block party, but with way more ocean views and way less small talk. Now, for centuries after its first sighting by Portuguese Admiral Tristan da Cunha in 1506, the island's named after the guy who probably said cool rock. Moving on, the island remained a ghost on maritime maps. Navigators noted its existence, but its sheer cliffs and unruly weather offered basically no incentive to land, like a party invite with bring your own everything, and survive in fine print. It was a place of seals, seabirds, and solitude, visited only fleetingly by whaling crews and explorers who probably high-fived and left as soon as possible. And the first attempt at settlement was as wild as the island itself. In 1810, an American from Salem, Massachusetts named Jonathan Lambert landed on the island with a few companions and boldly declared himself sovereign of the islands of refreshment. Because why not claim your own kingdom when you're feeling adventurous? His reign was short-lived, however, as Lambert and his men drowned in a fishing accident only a couple years later. So, really more of a false start for humans on the island than anything else, like a historical mic drop that nobody heard. The true beginning of a permanent community came from an unexpected source: geopolitical paranoia, because nothing says, let's settle here, like fearing a French jailbreak. In 1816, with Napoleon Bonaparte exiled on the nearby island of St. Helena, the British Empire grew anxious that France might use Tristan da Cunha as a staging post for a rescue mission. To preempt this, the United Kingdom formally annexed the archipelago and established a small military garrison. They also did this to prevent American Navy ships from using the islands as a base, something they did during the recent War of 1812. Talk about playing international chess with islands as pawns. Now, the threat of a Napoleonic escape never materialized. Spoiler, he stayed put, and so a year later, the garrison was ordered to withdraw. But here, history took a decisive turn, like a plot twist in a survival reality show. A Scottish corporal named William Glass, along with his wife and 2 children, requested permission to stay. Joined by 2 other soldiers, he became the leader of the fledgling, now civilian settlement. From this, a unique society began to grow, proving that sometimes, home is where the volcano is. Over the following decades, the population was bolstered by a trickle of new arrivals, almost all of whom were men brought to the island by chance. They were shipwrecked mariners and whalers from distant shores. Englishmen, Italians, Dutchmen, and Americans who, finding themselves on Tristan, chose to make it their home, or maybe just couldn't find a ride out. But the isolated community of bachelors faced a real problem. There were few women, and so they petitioned a passing ship's captain to bring back wives for them from street. Helena. This influx of women, combined with the diverse origins of the men, created the distinct genetic and cultural foundation of the Tristanian people, like a melting pot stirred by ocean winds. A simple, egalitarian society flourished based on a code of shared work and resources. To this day, the entire settlement is still dominated by just 7 family names: Glass, Green, Hagen, Lavarello, Repetto, Rogers, and Swain. Original Day, Hagen, Lavarello, Rapto, Yazelmish, Muhtemelin, Hagen, Lavarello, Repetto. While the settlement got off its feet in the 1800s, the 1900s brought the most severe test of the settlement's resilience. On October 1961, the island the settlement was on began to shake and spew ash. The dormant volcano, which had given them their home, violently erupted, like it decided, time for a makeover. A new volcanic cone rose from the potato patches, spewing smoke and lava just a few hundred yards from their homes. The entire population of 264 islanders was forced into a dramatic emergency evacuation, first to a neighboring island and then all the way to England, trading isolation for immigration in one fiery swoop. For the first time, the Tristanians were thrust into the bustling, complex world of 1960 seconds Britain. A world of traffic, television, and money that was completely alien to their cooperative, non-cash economy. Imagine going from share everything to shop till you drop overnight. Culture shock doesn't even cover it. Many assumed that was the end for Edinburgh of the Seven Seas and that its people would never go back. Why would they trade the comforts and opportunities of modern England for a life of hardship on a remote rock? But the pull of home, of the island they called the settlement, was stronger than anyone anticipated, like a magnetic force stronger than lava. And so when given the choice, the islanders voted overwhelmingly to return. In 1963, the majority sailed back across the Atlantic, ready to rebuild their homes and their lives, proving that sometimes, there's no place like home, includes volcanoes and all. This singular decision is the reason why anyone at all lives on Tristan da Cunha today. But it bears repeating. Why and how do people live in such an isolated part of the world today? And what's it like? Having seen the outside world, the people of Tristan da Cunha made a deliberate choice to return to their isolated volcanic home. Talk about voting with your feet, or sails, for the ultimate off-grid lifestyle. This decision raises a compelling question for our hyper-connected age. What is life actually like in the world's most remote community? And what is the profound appeal that makes this isolation a cherished prize rather than a punishment, like turning stuck on an island into winning the solitude jackpot? Today, Edinburgh of the Seven Seas is home to somewhere around 240 people, nearly all of whom are descendants of the handful of settlers who arrived in the 1800s. It's like a family tree that's more like a family bush, compact and intertwined. But this doesn't mean the settlement is stuck in the 1800s. In reality, the people there have the basic amenities of a modern town, but on a miniature scale, like a dollhouse version of suburbia with ocean views. There's a school for all of the island's children, class sizes that make teachers dream, a small hospital staffed by a resident doctor, no long waits in the ER here, a post office that is a lifeline for news and goods because Amazon drones haven't figured out the route yet, and the island store, which stocks essentials that can't be grown or raised locally, think canned goods and the occasional treat from afar. The social hub of the island is the Albatross Bar, the only pub where the entire community gathers to make merry and buy things from the mainland. It's like the local watering hole where everyone knows your name and your entire family history. The island's economy is a unique hybrid of modern commerce and traditional subsistence, blending cash flow with grow-your-own grit. The main source of income comes from the sea. A modern fishing boat and processing factory prepares the famous Tristan rock lobster for export, a delicacy prized in markets across the globe. These fancy crustaceans are basically the island's golden ticket, funding imports like fuel, manufactured goods, and other necessities without needing a Wonka factory. But also, this formal economy is built on self-sufficiency. Every family has their designated potato patches in a communal farming area away from the settlement, where they grow the staple of their diet, spuds for days, folks. They also raise cattle and sheep, and are adept at fishing, knitting, and maintaining their own homes. Most islanders are masters of many trades, holding a formal job at the factory or in government while also being a farmer, a builder, and a mechanic out of necessity. like human Swiss Army knives with a side of sea salt. So, why would anyone choose this life? The allure lies in what Tristan offers that the outside world has largely lost. The primary benefit is an almost absolute sense of safety and community, where trust is thicker than the fog rolling in. There is virtually no crime on Tristan da Cunha. People don't lock their doors, and car keys are often left in the ignition, in a place where everyone is a relative or a lifelong neighbor. The concept of communal responsibility is not an ideal, it's a simple fact of daily life, like it takes a village on steroids. Children play freely across the settlement, looked after by any adult who happens to be nearby. It's a society free from the stress of urban life. There's no traffic jams, unless sheep are involved. No long commutes, your office is a stroll away, and no fear of violent crime. In exchange for variety and convenience, Tristanians have a profound sense of belonging and peace, like trading Netflix queues for unbreakable neighborly bonds. Now, if all of this is suddenly sounding very appealing to you, admit it. No rush hour sounds dreamy. You should know that this fragile culture is fiercely protected, which is why moving to Tristan da Cunha is nearly impossible. They're not running a come one, come all ad campaign. Despite its small size, the island is not seeking new residents. There's no immigration program or path to citizenship for curious outsiders looking to escape their hectic life. The right to live on Tristan is reserved for those born there, like an exclusive club with a volcanic doorman. The only exceptions are for essential expatriate workers such as doctors and teachers who are brought in on fixed-term contracts. Marrying an islander can be a path to residency, but even this is not automatic and is subject to the approval of the island council. So, no rom-com elopements here. This strict policy is not born of unfriendliness but of practicality. Even UK citizens, of which the island is a part, are not able to move there. The island has very limited resources, a delicate ecosystem, and a social structure that could be easily overwhelmed by just a handful of new residents, like adding too many ingredients to a perfectly balanced stew. So, it's a measure of survival designed to preserve the very way of life that makes Tristan so special. Today, there are fewer than 250 people living on the island, and that number is not expected to go up. In fact, the population of the island is aging and unfortunately shrinking. In 2016, there was a recorded 293 people living on the island. So it's like a slow fade rather than a boom. So, what does the future hold for the world's most isolated settlement? At its current rate, complete abandonment. But hey, that's not set in stone. Maybe a lobster boom or eco-tourism twist could change the tune. Isolation is a weird way to describe Tristan da Cunha's people because in many ways, its people are anything but. They're very connected to each other, and that provides a level of comfort that few of us in the rest of the world actually get, like a human network stronger than any Wi-Fi. I hope you enjoyed learning all about the most isolated settlement in the world. If you did, you'd probably enjoy this video all about the Falkland Islands. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Goodbye.